So, should Tesla advertise?
San Diego-based Tesla shareholder James M. Danforth is proposing for Tesla to start advertising.
Tesla should spend at least $50 a car produced to advertise its products' services in order to increase brand and product awareness and interest, achieve other goals set forth in the supporting statement below, and to help mitigate and/or reduce harm to Tesla's goals, objectives, reputation, and finances. Advertising became necessary the moment Tesla announced in Q1 19 that it would shut down retail stores and start focusing solely on website-based sales instead. Tesla is in the enviable position of being able to generate advertising ROI from 4 sources, which are: first, it's self-evident that advertising can increase brand value, product awareness, and interest. Second, Tesla ads can help mitigate and dilute substantial FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and misinformation campaigns sponsored by competitors and detractors worldwide, and steer the narrative more favorably. Third, impacts caused by less public visibility due to retail store closings announced in Q1 19 can be explained and softened by ads. And finally, Tesla ads will, by their very nature, increase knowledge and support for climate damage avoidance worldwide. This is a core desire of Tesla and a key driver of better company results too.
So this is kind of an interesting suggestion. A lot of people have been talking about advertising since years and years and years ago. They were like, man, we should have a Super Bowl ad for the Tesla Model S and Model X. It's going to be great. You know, we'll get Robert Downey Jr. and he's going to be Iron Man. He's going to walk out of the car. It's a great idea. But the thing is, Tesla hasn't needed advertising this entire time, right, as evidenced by the point that it hasn't had any advertising for this entire time and is where it is in the world today.
Now, I think another argument here, though, is that Danforth talks about Tesla should spend about $50 per car, at least. And if you do the math, that would be about $18 million in 2019. And $18 million might sound like a lot of money, but let's put it in perspective.
Sure.
GM in 2019 spent how much?
$3.4 million.
Billion.
Billion.
Yeah.
$billion.
GM spent $3.4 billion on advertising. Ford spent $2.3 billion. So if you want Tesla to spend $18 million, here's what it's going to look like. GM and Ford ads, you see them everywhere. Billboards, magazines, television,
and
radio.
They're not amazing. Like, can we just point that out? Like, you've never seen like a
No.
like there aren't that many GM and Ford ads where you're just like, wow,
no,
amazing. You know,
right.
Here is the Ford Focus blah blah blah. You're going to enjoy driving this car.
Exactly.
So Tesla's advertising budget of an order of magnitude less than that, times 2,
would get you, a couple billboards and maybe a couple TV spots on a couple lame shows.
Right.
Like, it's not going to get you anywhere.
And
But,
we haven't even talked about the filming of the
right.
of this stuff.
Oh, that's a really good point. I mean, you have to get actors and directors and film crew just to film these ads.
Which does bring up the point that Tesla does have a marketing budget.
Yes.
A lot of the Tesla footage that we use comes from Tesla. So Tesla did spend a lot of money to have nice footage. And the cool part is they didn't have to then spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on top of that to get it placed in certain places.
We just did it for them. I mean,
Exactly.
we just played their ad.
And that's the thing. Whenever Tesla is in the news has to show something on the screen because otherwise it would just be 2 people talking or one person talking or whatever. I mean, and that wouldn't be interesting. So they use the B-roll.
Exactly. I mean, look at the Cybertruck unveiling in November. I mean, every news outlet in the world covered it ad nauseum, and that was free advertising.
And anytime Tesla's in the news, which is quite often because it's an interesting news story and people like to cover it and talk about it and tell the world how awful it is, they have to play something, and so they play the marketing footage, which Tesla made. And I think that was such a smart business decision to make that. I'm glad that they have a marketing budget, but again, for the advertisement, $18 million just isn't going to buy you enough.
And I guess I'd also like to point out that not every product in the world is advertised. When's the last time you saw an ad for broccoli? We all eat it. I've never seen an ad for it.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? I mean, you don't need to advertise everything. So the only reason you have to advertise GM and Ford is because I really think if you stop spending those billions of dollars, they probably stop selling cars altogether.
Right.
Whereas Tesla, which doesn't spend a penny, is selling more than it can make.
Right. And I mean, let's just talk about if Tesla had to spend, let's just say even $1 billion a year, they do not have the budget for that. They're taking what would be that budget and they're pouring it into R&D.
Exactly.
And that's the reason they have the lead that they do, is because they're not wasting energy trying to
Go pick up the Tesla Model 3 today. It's blah, 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 blah. 0% APR financing for the first 3 months.
Like, there's none of that kind of stuff. It's just, hey, here's the car. You can buy it online, and this isn't an advertisement. This is it's your friend telling you about it.
I mean, look at Leno's Garage, which we're going to talk about later on the show. I mean, millions of people are watching that. It's a huge 9-minute advertisement for Tesla,
Right.
and they don't have to drop a penny on that. And the shareholder meeting is coming up July 7th, and Tesla's board says the board has considered this proposal and has determined that it would not serve the best interests of Tesla or our shareholders. While we welcome shareholder feedback, we also believe we have an experienced management team that is best situated to determine Tesla's day-to-day business operations, including our sales and marketing practices and expenditures. Moreover, the proponent's key premise is based on an apparent misunderstanding of Tesla's retail operations. Specifically, Tesla has made clear in statements since the first quarter of 2019 that we frequently optimize our retail operations, which means both closing or downsizing locations with underperforming foot traffic or sales throughput, as well as adding locations in our target markets with high foot traffic. As a result, our net store count remains stable across 2019.
Right. And that's an excellent point as well, is that, yeah, at the beginning of 2019, it sounded like all the stores were going to close. And it was a big shock to everyone. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to close all the stores. And then Tesla pretty much walked it back. They were like, actually, that isn't the best strategy.
Right.
And I don't think that it was the best idea to close all the stores either.
Right.
So, they totally walked it back, which means that advertising is no longer really needed. You have the stores, you have the word of mouth, which has been continuous through Tesla's life, that you've had this word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, Cybertruck gets announced, and we got over 600,000 people who put down money for the truck.
Right. And that's just the beginning. That's before they're out on the road.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Model 3. People were worried that, there are only 250,000 reservations for the Model 3. And they've had no trouble selling them since it came out. So that should tell you something. When people see the car and they go, oh, how fast can it go? Oh, it's the safest car in the world? Oh, you just charge it at your house? Oh, it would save me that much money in gas? People, by and large, are just like, I want one. Whether or not they can afford it is another question. It's really important to get this information out, and you are vital to doing that.
When people hear about information from someone they know and trust,
That's you.
they are much more likely to listen and act.
So share this clip with someone you know today.
You'll feel good knowing you made a difference. Now you know.